Okay, well, this is take two. Um, I was distracted by phone stuff, but I am gonna put that away for now. Because we're focused on this, whatever this is. As I was saying in my first take, what I said was I did a podcast before in sophomore year, and through junior year as well with a friend. And I had a lot of fun with it. It was a great place to just sometimes share whatever thoughts I had each day. It was a way for us to check in about each other's lives and know how we are. And more importantly, it was in essence a video diary being, at this point in time, what were we thinking? What was happening in the world? And what was important to us as people? And unfortunately, that podcast came to an end. Just difficulties working with my friend during the podcast, but it was a good experience. And lately, I've been thinking about wanting to do this. Ever since that podcast ended, I wanted to kind of do another podcast thing, and I tried doing one with another friend. Um, and like the first episode was we tried a trial episode, and it wasn't bad at all. But I don't know. I just feel like I think I need to do something by myself first, and we'll see how it turns out in the future if I want to continue doing this. So, yeah. So, this is the brainchild of that. I just thought I want to be able to have an outlet where it can fulfill a lot of the same things I just described about the last pause, being a place where I can just share the thoughts that I have without having to worry about other people listening. Because I think one of the key things is I'm just going to this private for now, and I'll post it publicly, but I won't promote it, won't talk about it with other people, and we'll let it grow organically without trying to stimulate and try and artificially pump some views into it. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. For myself, be able to share what I'm thinking and to have like a record of every day, or not every day, but every few days, like every week, what has been going on in my life, what am I thinking, and what is next. Another thing is, this might be too forward thinking because it may never happen, but if you are out there, uh, another idea of doing this was for my maybe perhaps future kids. If you are listening to this right now, whatever your name is, whatever gender you are, I hope you're having a chuckle listening to your would-be dad talk. Just fucking. Oh, I shouldn't swear then if kids. Well, I mean, supposed to be clear. Probably won't tell my kids about this. I do have kids, and I keep doing this until they're able to handle the swear words. But this is also for you. This is a way for you to know what I was thinking back then, back now, what I was like, my troubles, and how. This is something I always thought about, like, because me and my parents never really the best relationship, and I think one of the reasons is just there was never really any attempts for relatability or understanding of perspectives of each other. And we were just very separate in that they had one kind of perspective shaped by how they grew up, which was in a totally different era of time, all the way in the 60s, the 70s, compared to me growing up in the 2000s. It's a 40-year difference. And from that, it was often just tough to relate with parents and to really have them be able to see what I saw and sometimes to see what they saw as well. So hopefully this will help in that regard if I do have children in the future and you are listening to this. It's a way for you to understand what I was thinking, how I lived when I'm 21 now and still growing. And throughout the 20s, you'll see. Hopefully, I continue this. How my life will be like. So to you, this is for you, and hopefully you enjoy the ride. More generally about the podcast, I came into this without really an idea of how long I wanted to do it. Um, the previous podcast, I basically always had a goal, and we hit that goal of always at least being an hour. And oftentimes, I want to like stretch it out as long as possible because I think long form content is important in understanding exactly what you were thinking at that time, which was kind of the purpose of the podcast, to have these like long conversations with someone that I enjoyed having long conversations with and being able to extract a lot of thoughts. Because oftentimes, as the podcast just went further and further along, we got more and more out of each other, and we got more entertaining content, and we got honestly more deep and insightful insight. Repeating words, but insightful insight into just what we were thinking and what was troubling us, and basically who we were at that point. So, with that in mind, I don't think I really have such an idea for this. In fact, the whole reason I was going to do this podcast first, I had thought of this and then I'd shelved the idea for a while because I had this other video creative idea that I wanted to do for my YouTube channel, which was practicing being able to talk just about subjects for long periods of time. There's this YouTube video I once watched from Casual TF2 where he talked about a Team Fortress 2 video game map for 12 hours. And it wasn't 12 hours straight. I mean, obviously he had like breaks in between, but it's still an amazing exercise of self skill, creativity, being able to just manufacture thoughts and content for that long of a time. So the idea that I had when shelving this podcast originally was being able to be given a topic and just talk about it for a long period of time. Like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes straight. Just be like, I got a topic, maybe it's about friendships in college or something, and I just be able to continuously talk for 30 minutes straight because I think it allows me to practice being able to formulate the thoughts that bounce around in my head, be able to practice, yeah, having a conversation, albeit with myself, but being able to describe and succinctly, accurately say what I want to say out loud. It is very different saying stuff out loud compared to just having it inside your head, and it's a different experience. So it is, I think, definitely a valuable thing. Practice that every now and again. And that was my idea I originally had, and turns out that shit is really hard. You're given like a topic, and you want it to be entertaining, right? Because the whole goal of it was kind of posting on my YouTube channel. So anything I post on there, I don't want it to be boring. I don't want it to be. I had a motivation for it, right? It was to be entertaining. However entertaining it can be to listen to me ramble for minutes on end about just random crap, but there was that motivation, and that just made it harder because oftentimes I don't think I helped myself with the first time that I tried it. I think I talked about the first thing was like private schools that I thought as an idea, just because I did go to a private school when I was in elementary school. and then I switched to public schools for middle school and in high school, and I guess you could say right now at university, this is a private university, but private public university, I don't see as much of a difference in the actual core experience as in the earlier educational years, where the experience I had in elementary school was completely different than I think a public elementary school experience. And I thought that would be enough to last and sustain a conversation, a spiel, something that I could just continuously talk about for a long time. But sadly, it wasn't enough. Part of what motivated me to do that also, just if you haven't noticed, if you're my kid, I wonder if I'll still be like this older. Um, I go on tangents a lot. It's just hard for me to stick to a topic. So I guess this is another thing that is a goal of this whole podcast series. Being able to be more focused in my conversation as well, not just be distracted by tangents, going into technical details that really are not important to the story at all. Being able to stay on track. And that description right there was a tangent to what I was going to say, but um, yeah, I guess I'll continue what the tangent I was going to say. It was, I saw this YouTube. Oh my god. Should have gotten some water before this. Well, we're gonna power through. I saw this YouTube channel called Boy Algo, and basically his videos were about his day in the life as a software engineer at Google, and it was just very. I like the style they had for the videos, where he basically it's like a vlog style, but he's just filming short increments at different places with like a video accompaniment along with his actual like talking that he's doing. And so that was the kind of style that I was trying to go for with that video. And so I guess I don't think these will ever see the daylight. Don't think I'll ever publicly publish these. But I did try and record some when I was in Niagara. My friends all had the passports so they could go to Canada, and I didn't have my passport, so I was stuck on the US side, and they dropped me off at a casino, and I was just in the casino for like an hour and 20 minutes. And for part of that time, I just sat at a slot machine and I was like talking to myself like a crazy person for 5-10 minutes and just recording it and seeing the casino goers go by on the video. So maybe I'll link that as it is. I did upload it on my channel. I think I just kept it private, but maybe it's some flavor for this video. Either way, that was a long-winded description of the motivations behind why the original idea that I had for this and why I wanted to do it. And now this is what I'm doing here. So yeah, this is it. So let's talk a little bit about what I hope to talk about in these. As I said, stuff about my life, but also just a lot of thoughts that I oftentimes think of when I'm, I don't know, daydreaming in class, walking to and from campus, just have some dead time where the only thing that is there is you or me, my thoughts. And those thoughts bounce around in my head and don't really know. Sometimes I think it's good to have them in the public ear. So we'll share those thoughts out because sometimes they really trouble me, or not really trouble, but it's things that stay on my mind. I think about it multiple days in a row, and it's just like I wonder, and I think it'll be valuable to share that. Probably won't be, but maybe you'll find it entertaining. So I guess the first thing I should talk about is just do a little bit of a recap of my life. So, whoever's listening to it, you're my kid, you're a random listener on the internet. If you are a friend, someone who I know, and who I have had the great graces to share you this link and listen to me ramble for a while, well, welcome. I'm Patrick, and this is my life. I'm 21 right now, going to university at CMU, Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh. And this is episode 1 of whatever this is called. I had some ideas of what this would be called, and I guess I will not say them just yet, as I haven't decided, but it will be decided by the time this publishes, I think. Welcome. What am I thinking now? Today is, I think I'm going to put timestamps also, just so it's easy to know what time is it, what day was this recorded, what day in my life are all of these thoughts coming from. So today is, I almost forgot the month, August. What the fuck? It's not August, it's October. Holy shit. October 28th, 2022. And right now, it's a bit of a long break. We have a 3-day weekend, as this is on a Friday currently. And yeah, so I found the time today. Don't really have anything else going, but stuff will be coming up. And I just remembered another tangent, but the whole reason I was talking about this long tirade about the motivations behind this podcast, it was to say I don't think there's going to be a set time limit. I had goals where I think we'll work our way up to my goals of like getting to an hour, maybe 2 hours. That would be kind of impressive, but also kind of sad if I talk to myself for 2 hours. But I guess for this first one, we'll see if we can crack 40 minutes, see how it goes there. And I don't know, if I just have a lot of thoughts, I'll just keep talking. And as long as my voice doesn't give out, because as I said, I forgot to get water before hitting the record button this time. But so we've started, we're not stopping. Today is October 28th, 2022. And I think the most important and heavy thing weighing on my mind was just, honestly, still today, because it was earlier in the night at around like 3 p.m., 4 p.m. I was hanging out after we went to a party with my girlfriend, Michelle, and who, you're my kid, may be your mother, or may not be. She'll just be someone else that you don't know, but perhaps it will be very enlightening to you either way. And we were talking, and I guess a little bit of background. So, it's senior year, and we're gonna graduate soon. Michelle at the end of this fall semester, me at the end of the spring semester. So I still got a couple months until next May. But she's got until December, really like less than 2 months away. And she's already going to be working at Jane Street in New York. And currently for me, earlier in the semester, I was doing a lot of job hunting and recruiting stuff, looking for jobs, looking for where I'm going to go, where I'm going to end up. And obviously, as a goal, since we're in a relationship, I'm sorry for clearing my throat so much. Really should have gotten some water. Obviously, since we're in a relationship and we want to stay together, we're going to try and do that and be in the same city. So she's going to be in New York City. It's already kind of basically confirmed. And as for me, I don't know. So when I was recruiting, that was definitely a destination. If I had choices, I'd always pick New York City. At the beginning, I was really recruiting just for New York City, but that turned out to be very short sighted because I guess a bit more context for 2022. We're kind of right now in a recession, so there isn't a lot of job opportunities all around. So I can't really be choosy. I can't be picky about where I'm applying to because otherwise, I'm honestly not the strongest of candidates. So I'm not going to be able to, just blow everybody out of the water. So I can't afford to be picky like that, which is why I had to just basically expand my scope, apply everywhere. So as of this point, October 28th, I do have two offers. Um, one at Hive AI in Seattle, other one at Appian in Virginia. And I am in the interview loop for the position at Roblox, which the interview will conclude in next Monday. So if I do this regularly, there should be an episode around that time, I'm guessing. It'll be interesting to hear back, listen to me ramble, and be like, damn, I was really semi stressing about it because I think that would be the best opportunity for me right now. um, but this is, I guess I'll get more into detail about choosing between these two later, but the reason I brought these up was for context, right? Which is because she's going to be in New York. These two offers that I have, which is going to dictate where I go after graduation. One's in Seattle, one's in Northern Virginia. They're not in New York. So we're just not going to be in the same city, at least for now, after graduation. And this was always a possibility, something that wish could have been avoided, but that's just life. Didn't happen. So the inevitable conversation came up, and I'd asked her about this before as well. Before I had like gotten offers and I was just starting to apply, I wanted to talk with her about what becomes of us after graduation when there is the chance we'll be in different cities. And she wanted to like push it back until I actually had concrete details about where I would gonna be. And now it's pretty concrete about where I could be. There's two places, but the important thing is they're both not going to be in New York. So the same situation kind of applies. So we had a conversation last night, and basically it was like I asked, or since I brought it up before, and I was like, I think we should talk about it. She was like, do you want to talk about it? And I was like, okay. And she was like, so we're not going to be in the same city, which kind of sucks. And I was like, yeah, that really sucks. And then she said something like, so it's kind of over. And I'm like, I guess, yeah. And honestly, like before I brought anything up, that was I feel like she was set on it being over. On yeah, it just ending maybe not right there, but like when she graduated. And I think she thought about doing long distance and the difficulties of that. And I'd already considered that, factored that in, and was against it. So for me, I guess a bit of more context would be interesting. Um, Me and Michelle and I, however you want to say it, been together for over 3 years now, like 3 years and 2 months. Just quite a long time, honestly. And during one of those years when COVID happened, um, and if you're a kid and you don't know what COVID is, search that up on Wikipedia. I guess I'll talk about it more in one of these later ones, but I don't want to get too tangented. too off track from what I was gonna say, but COVID happened, and a good chunk of like a year and a half of our relationship, so almost half. I think we've had more time now together than outside, but a good chunk of it was we were separate because it was all online remote learning. I was back home and she was back at her home, and we were not in Pittsburgh. That was just how it was. And that was a tough time, not gonna lie. I thought it was all right, but it was definitely not as good as when it was in person. And for her, it was even worse. She really did not enjoy the long distance relationship that we had. It was not very fun, and honestly, I wouldn't blame her because part of it was me as well. I just wasn't giving the right enough effort in, I don't think. Um, and I think I've learned from that. I think it's just been a learning experience this whole time about balancing the amount of effort that I want to give in and the effort that I definitely should give in to be fair to both of us for the health of our relationship. So that was the reason why I think she was very hesitant about doing long distance and why she didn't even really bring it up as an idea. So obviously for me, as I said, it wasn't as good, but I thought it could still work. I still thought the long distance relationship was good. And so I brought it up to her this night and basically gave her a question to think about whether or not she wants to actually do long distance. And yeah, she went to sleep. It's not like she was disrespectful or anything. It was already like 3:30. So I mean, and she'd been drinking as well. So understandable, but didn't have an answer. We woke up earlier today. I asked again. I was laying in bed for the longest time, and I was like, should I? We were like cuddling or just hugging, enjoying each other in bed, and I was like, should I ask this now? Is this going to ruin the moment? And I was having a self battle the whole time for quite a long time until I was like, I gotta ask. Because otherwise, that shit's gonna weigh on me even more throughout the whole entire day. And I'm glad I asked because she actually forgot about the question from last night. Because I think she went to bed like right away. But um, now when I'm recording this, I still don't have an answer. I mean, I basically said like you don't have to answer right now because it is a tough decision, and I don't wanna pressure her at all because I believe it can work, but in order for it to work, we both have to believe and we both have to put in the effort. So if she doesn't want to do it, I don't want to pressure her into doing it. So I'm hoping she does it right now. As I said, I don't know right now. Hoping so. Um, but I don't know yet. I just don't know yet. We'll have to see what happens. Um, I think she expressed like, she wants this continue too, but yeah, she's still just weighing up the cost worth it, cost of long term relationship or long term, long distance, where wherever I am. I mean, I guess it varies based on where I go, whether I'm in Seattle or Northern Virginia, or if the third thing pans out in San Francisco. It all depends. Um, so it's definitely a difficult decision. We'll have to see. But yeah, as of recording this right now, that was what was weighing on my mind because I still don't know decision. And it's just like I had these same thoughts before going to sleep too. It was just weighing on me. I had to walk around and just like have a little bit of alone time. If it doesn't continue, it's going to be pretty sad for me. Um, I mean, after being in a relationship for so long, if it just ends, it's definitely gonna take time to get used to. I'm gonna be a little bit empty, a little bit sad, more than a little bit. Try my best to not show it too much, not have it affect my relationships with other people, because I think that's a flaw that I have. When I'm feeling not great during a day, it just affects my communication with other people as well sometimes, and it's really not fair to them. It's not fair as a human being to do that. And I think a lot of people suffer with that. I'm not gonna say I'm such a terrible person. I'm not such a self masochist, but it's definitely something to work on. And I don't want to have this sadness, which I think will be at least for a few days, few weeks before I get over it. I definitely don't want it to just dominate how I am with other people. Because this last semester should be a good time to pursue personal interests like this podcast that I'm doing right now, other projects that I want to do, just a lot of things before having to go out really into the real world. Ain't nobody got time for moping around, so but definitely we'll be internally moping for a bit. And that was what I was doing last night when basically she really had kind of decided on not wanting to do long term, and I was like, well, this is that. I'm gonna have to get over it. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be hard. All the good memories that we had. Um, yeah, it's gonna be tough. I'm already imagining listening to myself a couple weeks from now, a couple months from now, maybe a couple years from now, as this will be the first episode. I guess it would be the first thing you listen to. This is kind of a dreary start, but honestly, when I was thinking of after this happened, I was like, this would be the perfect way, I guess, in a way, to start the podcast because you'll know I'm keeping it real. This shit that weighs on me that really kept me up for a bit last night and is still weighing on my heart right now. I'm sharing it on this perhaps public platform with everybody who's listening. So, if you guys have thoughts down the line when you hear this about what I should have done, because I imagine you're gonna listen to this, and maybe you'll have extra information that I won't have right now. Like you'll know that we're still together, or you'll know that I'm with someone else, or you'll know that I'm a lone person, and that will just give you extra context about what I'm saying right. But this is what I'm saying right now. This was the main thing for October 28th, 2022, and this is crazy. Just talking about this already 33 minutes. My voice is about to give out, so I actually have a big, not that big, but it is just like how I did the other podcast topics list of things that I could talk about besides just the daily update. So next time, I'll be more prepared. I'll bring my water. I'll make sure that it'll probably be longer. This is interesting. I only talked about one thing and we managed to get out to 35 minutes, which is I guess bodes well for being a video diary. I will get a lot of information about myself, about what's happened throughout these days, and I really know how I am, who I am as a person. I think one thing that would be really cool is seeing later episodes and just comparing how I talk. My cadences, my pauses, the kind of vocabulary I use, just the manner in which I talk. Am I going to change? Am I going to change? change isn't bad, but it is interesting. And honestly, it will, yeah, I think I'll just leave it as that. It'll be interesting to see how, as I will probably change in some way or another, be it small or large, in how I talk. And we'll see until then. So as I said, first episode of this, thank you for listening. Thank you to me in the future for listening, consoling me, consoling myself through these somewhat difficult times. And I want to say that was one of the things on my topics list, being grateful for all the opportunities I have, for the situation I'm in right now. I don't want it to sound like I'm just so lost in my first world problems that I'm not thinking about, not understanding how privileged I am in the position that I am right now. To be able to have 2 job offers in this kind of economy, to be able to know that I'll be able to work out of this, to not be immediately struggling with financial loans. My parents are helpful in that regard. I'm in a very privileged position, and I recognize that. And I'm definitely going to talk about that more in subsequent episodes. Maybe I'll do another one just tomorrow or something. Keep these kind of regular, even if they won't be as long. But yeah, there's definitely something I was going to talk about. But for today, the thoughts of the day. Shell and I, maybe by the next episode we'll already know, and this will just be a cliffhanger resolve. I hope Shell and I stay together. I want us to stay together. I think we have something good, something special here. I really love her, and I want it to continue. So we'll see if it does, and you'll see if it does. The next episode. So final farewell here. Thank you for listening. Random person on the internet. Perhaps my child, if I have a child. I love you. Just know that. I don't even know who you are right now. But I know I'm gonna love you. Because I'm gonna love you. And myself. I think it's important to love yourself. And I will be sure to leave that in. Because I love myself. Okay, I'm gonna get some water. I'll be sure to have water for the next one so I can talk for longer, but my voice is so fucking dead right now. Alright, bye.